The stages of Todorov's equilibrium model are evident in Scarlett as the three boys getting ready for school in the beginning is the equilibrium. And the disruption is James seeing Scarlett for the first time. The recognition is James and Luke attempting to get her attention and impress her various times, and the repair comes when they realise that she is not interested and they give up with her. The new equilibrium is when James and Luke walk through the park and decide that Scarlett isn't worth the trouble they went through.
She wasn't even like me though.
No, we just wasted our time. I didn't like her.
I didn't like her either.
Levi-Strauss' theory of binary oppositions, understanding a concept by knowing the difference between that and its opposite, is evident in Scarlett between the personalities of the boys, as in the beginning James is shown as lazy and doesn't care about being late or dressing well, whilst Luke is a sharp contrast as he's early and on time and takes pride in his appearance, choosing to dress smartly and spend time on his hair than to have a more laid-back attitude and wear casual clothing. The montage sequence allows the audience to learn more about who the characters are through their oppositions, as we see one of them choosing to work out, whilst another focuses on his hair and the other is just being lazy. These oppositions create comical moments as the audience laugh at certain things the boys do, such as James dropping the weights and Luke styling his hair differently. Fantasy and realism is another binary opposition in Scarlett, as when James first sees Scarlett, the slow motion scene shows him fantasizing over her in his head, but in reality she is just sat at the table and hasn't taken any notice of him. And throughout the film, his and Luke's fantasy of being with her continues whilst in reality she isn't bothered about them. We chose to construct the film in chronological order as the storyline suited it. There are no flashbacks or previous events the audience needs to see to understand the story, and chronological order allows the audience to see the boys' attempts to impress Scarlett as they happen. The film follows a restricted narrative, as although throughout most of the film the audience see what is going on between Scarlett, James and Luke, they are hidden from the fact that she likes Matthew, and this is only revealed during the date scene at the end of the film. The closed ending for the film was chosen as we wanted the audience to know that Matthew is the one that gets the girl, even though throughout the film he is not shown making an effort with her. This closed ending brings a surprising element to the film, as at the end the audience will see that Matthew is with her, whilst his friends have given up. We did this as we wanted to challenge the audience's expectations, those expectations being James or Luke getting the girl as they put the effort in, but instead we chose to surprise them with Matthew being the one who gets the girl. Scarlett is a typical character of the genre, as generally in school-based rom-coms there is the pretty or popular girl that all the boys like. The popular girl is often seen wearing pink, and Scarlett does this in the beginning of the film. She also has her makeup well done, and her facial expressions often show her discomfort of being around some of the boys. James is funny and clumsy throughout the film, and romantic comedies usually have a funny character. James does a lot of funny things as well, and his costume is relaxed and comfy, as for his character he does not feel the need to make an effort. The storyline is typical of the genre, as general conventions for romantic comedy films are a boy meets girl situation, just like in She's the Man, as Viola meets Duke, and parts of the storyline follow their relationship. Scarlett follows this convention, as James and Luke are shown meeting Scarlett, and their attraction to her is made clear through the use of slow motion clips and their attempts to impress her. The beginning of the film also shows the three boys being shown getting up and dressed for college. Luke and Matthew are shown to get up right away whilst James sleeps in late. Luke dresses smart in a shirt whilst the others are much more casual in what they wear. This introduces their characters to the audience and allows them to get an idea of what each is like. The storyline of the film is centered around Scarlett and the boys impressing her, which is another convention of romantic comedy films, as relationships or the main female character are always at the center of everything happening. For example, in The Holiday, the storyline is centered around relationships as two women meet a guy and fall in love. Establishing shots are used to show where the events are taking place, and we used establishing shots for both the college and in the park to introduce to the audience that this is where the characters were. The establishing shot of the college is similar to a shot of the school in She's the Man, as the brief glimpse of the outside tells the audience where the following action is taking place. A lot of close-ups and medium shots are used to introduce characters and show what they are doing. The opening sequence shows brief close-ups and medium shots of the boys getting up and ready. Close-ups are a convention of romantic comedies as they show how a character is feeling and convey the emotion to the audience. James's conversation with Scarlett features various close-ups to show her feeling uncomfortable and unimpressed, whilst he can be seen to be visibly upset and disappointed with how the situation works out.
See you around.
Close-ups are used when Luke bumps into Scarlett with his wet trousers, and the audience can identify that Luke feels awkward and embarrassed by his facial expression and body language. The montage sequence features a range of close-up, medium and long shots to show the boys' actions. These shots are effective in showing the boys' expressions as well as what they are doing. We ended the film with shots of Matthew and Scarlett together to give a slow reveal of who Scarlett had chosen to be with, and it also gives a surprising element to the audience as they see that Matthew got the girl, even though his friends were the ones shown making the effort with her. A typical convention for romantic comedies is to begin with some non-diegetic music playing, and Scarlett follows this convention as music starts off slow in the beginning and begins to get louder and faster, making it parallel to the action on screen. Parallel music is also played throughout the weekend montage as the pace of the music matches the action of the boys. Slow motion is a typical way to introduce a character and how someone is seeing them and how they feel towards them. By introducing Scarlett using slow motion, the audience get an understanding of how the boys feel towards her. The music that plays during the slow motion scene complements it, as it is slow and intensifies the way the boys see Scarlett. It conveys their feelings to the audience and also makes the moment more comedic. It is also typical of the genre, as music like that is often played when a character that others like is introduced in a movie. Slow motion is used again with the same music when Scarlett walks past James, Luke and Matthew to again convey their feelings and to create comedy. The moment becomes even funnier when the music cuts as James is pushed into the wall by Luke. Shot reverse shot is used multiple times to show conversations, and this allows the audience to see immediate reactions to things that are said, and these reactions often convey feelings of embarrassment and awkwardness. Cross-cutting is used to show Luke in the bathroom and James talking to Scarlett, as this shows that these events are happening at the same time, and it makes it flow from the scenes before when James is shown going after Scarlett and Luke goes off to fix his hair. This creates comedy as the audience can see two funny situations happening at once, as James embarrasses himself and makes his conversation awkward, whilst Luke desperately tries to dry himself off but fails. Using cross-cutting for these scenes tells us that although James and Luke are very good friends, they are completely different, as James will say and do anything to try and impress someone, and doesn't seem to be bothered if he embarrasses himself. But Luke likes to ensure he looks his best and does not embarrass himself in any way. High-key lighting is typically used in romantic comedies. She's the Man, for example, uses it throughout and rarely has any dark or shadowed scenes. Scarlett uses high-key lighting throughout as it makes the scene appear normal to viewers. Teen romantic comedies are often set in schools and urban areas. She's the Man is an example of this, as a lot of the action in the film is set in Viola's school. Scarlett follows this convention by basing most of its action in a college. A lot of the film is set in classrooms and corridors, and by basing it there, a lot of the teen audience we are aiming for may feel that they can relate to the story. For the characters' costumes, we decided that James and Matthew would appear very casual, as this reflects their personalities, as James is quite lazy whilst Matthew isn't really bothered about anything. Luke, however, cares a lot about his appearance, and this is shown through his smart attire and the time and effort he puts into doing his hair. We wanted Scarlett to look quite girly, and so she wears skirts throughout the film and always has makeup on. These costumes also allow the audience to relate to the story and the characters, as some of the male audience may see parts of their own personalities in one of the three boys, whilst the female audience may feel that they are like Scarlett in terms of their attitude or how they dress. The main props used in the film are mobile phones, as the characters are shown communicating via phone calls multiple times, and when Matthew is shown cutting off James's phone call, it conveys to the audience that he doesn't want to be interrupted by his friends. Majority of the props used in Scarlett are shown during the montage, as James is shown using lots of different gym equipment, whilst Luke uses a hairdryer and straighteners, and Matthew has a video game controller. These props help establish their personalities and what they are like as people. James is shown using equipment that is far too big or heavy for him, and this shows him as a joker and the funny character he is in the film. Luke, focusing on perfecting his hair, shows that he cares a lot about his looks, whilst Matthew, playing games whilst the others are trying to better themselves, shows that he's not really bothered and doesn't feel the need to try and improve himself like them.